Welcome to the program. Public health fears are mounting in Tetegu in the Wejagbawe municipality, where residents are demanding the immediate intervention of NADMO and the Ghana Police Service after an unidentified body recovered from floodwaters was left in the community for days. The decomposing body is said to be emitting a strong stench, raising concerns about possible health risks. Frustrated residents claim repeated appeals to the police have gone unanswered, alleging officers cited transportation challenges. They also say they are now moving from house to house to raise money for disaster volunteers and fishermen who helped retrieve the body. My colleague Ramat Bashiru is live at Tetegu with the very latest and is joining me with more. Ramat, what do we know?
Here at Tetegu, southwest Makati, where an unidentified body was found, the Densu River brought the body here, and as you can see, the fisher folks, together with the disaster volunteers, have been able to come out, take the body out from the river. They say that the residents gathered here are concerned about the emanating odor from the decomposed remains of this unidentified body that has been found. So they've poured libation so that they can finally bring the body out from the river. The fisher folks, together with the disaster volunteers here at Tetegu, earlier we engaged them. They says they spoke with the police, and the police told them that they do not have enough resources to come and help them. So the volunteers are trying their best to bring the body out. So that's what we can see in our shots now. Many of the residents who stay in this area say the stench coming out from the decomposed body is something that raises a serious health concern to them. So they pleaded with the volunteer disasters to help them, take the body from the river. I would want to engage many more of them here to understand how they are coping. How are you coping so far? You are seeing things for yourself. How are you coping?
It's not easy to see your fellow, man, it's a man, so right, to see your fellow human being like this, it's really serious. We are all really, really sad, and then it's not easy. It's really a tragedy,
So from here, you called the volunteer disasters to come and help the residents around this area. From here, what was the next step you are also going to take to ensure that, because they told me they spoke to the police and they said they do not have enough resources. That's what they told us. Okay. So from here, what's next?
Well, that is why we are trying to engage them, the community, the people around, since there is no car or ambulance to come and pick it up. We are still engaging with the community members to at least come up with something whether we can call an ambulance or anything to come and take, because we can't leave it here. Yeah, sure.
So this is the atmosphere here at Tetegu. More of the residents do not really want to engage us because, sir, would you want to say something so far? What do you have to say about such situation? You live around this area, right? Okay, he's not interested to have a word or two with us, but I'm trying to get the final words from the volunteer disasters, the one we engaged earlier, to understand. He was actually pouring the libation to ensure that the body is retrieved. Now you've actually been able to do the necessary process to bring the body. What's next?
Yeah, now we will be expecting NADMO and Ghana Police to come and then take the body to the police hospital, the police mortuary, and so that is what we are waiting for. I think in this case we have to do some necessary purifications for those living here to also be free, because this is more or less like is an accident. So mostly spiritually whenever these things happen, where you bring them out is where they normally stay. So you need to purify the place. That one will leave it to the community leaders to do, so that those living around will not wake up in the dawn and be seeing a ghost around their gate or whatsoever. So for us, we've done our work as disaster volunteers, and I think you can see it. It's a male. It's a male. Maybe around 35 years and above. So let's just pray, and also let the people around Weja from upstream know that there is a dead body. So if any of them, were not able to find their relatives within the past 3 days, should just try and then contact the police, the Tetegu police, and then they will be able to get their body.
Have you communicated with the police? Because earlier when we spoke to you, you told us that when you complained to them, they said they do not have the resources. So now have you been able to communicate and find a solution to that?
Yes, just as we extracted the body, I spoke with the NADMO director, the district director again, and he told me he's calling the district police command. And he said the district police command has, given a positive answer that he will call Tetegu so that they will find a solution to it. So for us, we have done our best. The rest lies in the bosom of the police and NADMO to come and carry the body away. Yes.
So, but what sometimes when some of these things happen, what could you think could be the cause of some of these things?
Or maybe, this spillage in itself is problematic. Do you understand? Because nobody was informed before the spillage. It only came as a surprise. So maybe somebody might stuck in his or her room before the spillage, and then he may not be able to, or trying to, go out of the situation, may end up falling in a gutter or something. It can also cause it. Do you understand? But the only advice we can give as volunteers of NADMO, we don't take pay. We only volunteer our time to solve this kind of problems. The only advice we can give is that we should, abstain from walking in the flood waters. And if you don't know a certain area and there is a flood, don't even attempt walking in it. Me, for instance, I know this area from A to Z. So even if the water level comes up, I know how to maneuver. But somebody may not. And sometimes when it happens like that, most people don't know how to swim. I don't know where the body is coming from, but all I know is that the body came from the upstream, from Weja, coming down to this place. You can see the flow of the water is flowing from that place to this side. So all those upstream should be very careful, and let's protect ourselves until the water goes back. Whatever solution we have, we'll give it to the elders so that they can apply it. Then we will not face this kind of problems anymore.
So this is the current situation here at the Southwest Makati here at Tetegu. And then they've been telling us the story. Now the remains of the unidentified body have been retrieved. The remains have been retrieved. They are just waiting for the district police command to come for the remains to carry out further investigations, and then they will continue from there. Reporting for Joy News, I am Ramat Bashir.
Let's to stay in Tetegu and speak to Mawenyaga Atupa. He is the PRO for the Tetegu Development Committee. Mawenyaga, welcome to the program. Has the owners, or have the owners of the body that the relatives of the body that has been decomposing for days come for their relative? Mr. Tukpa, do I have you? We're still working the lines to get Mawunyaga Atukpa. He is the PRO for the Tetegu Development Committee there, and that's the story that Ramat Bashir brought us from that area, is that somebody has died during the floods that ravaged the area a few days ago. They are struggling to find the relatives of that particular individual to collect the corpse which has been decomposing in the area and causing a stench that has become unbearable at this particular moment. So those are the shots you have on your screens right there. The flood waters inundated Tetegu and its environs when the rains fell heavily in the last few days, and as of now, we're still trying to identify the relatives of the deceased, who has been identified as a male and in his 30s. We're working the telephone lines to speak to officials in the Tetegu area. At Tetegu, where somebody has died, sadly, but they are unable to identify the relatives of that particular individual. They are calling for help for the community and residents there to help with the identification of the person whose body has been decomposing for days now. We are working the telephone lines to speak to officials in that particular area to give us some clarity as to whether or not they have finally identified the person and have reached out to their family or friends to collect the body, which has since been decomposing. Well, away from that, traders and commercial drivers at the Asafo market in Kumasi are calling on the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly to frontage of the market after Monday's rains. Traders say the flooding has become perennial, with blocked drains identified as a major cause. Though the KMA has carried out some works, the traders insist the problem still persists.
But yeah, my honey, you know, you I know go ahead, Nasi. How do you welcome just a talk to us about 10 hours and yeah, market will be able to my father. And I also said, then I must have missing. You said that I needed that in the most. Gata ni mosi senya gata na kansuro fa titwa ne wo ha ina Asafo traffic light for Johnson market area because why no mo ye na gata na wo ni so ana hapo so kata na mo ye ma de so mo si bo do ne ti so ma gata na yira ni so ni ata na road NNM ye yira na de pressure e ba do a just a kabia to me come. Now the transport area to say, I was Asafo. Now you will be not going to manage the company of manager. They will do my the restaurant before me. Just a few I don't know my gata last month we saw about the operations about the year to make a fine. But still I do more. I was so much I need to be a man of now yes idea. Bridge can take on the Yamaya Flower, I think I did about this. So many things more honestly here. It's only better I'm big because I use my.
Let's come back to Accra and touch base once again with my colleague Ramat Bashir, who has just dashed over to Dansuman, where we understand an inferno is currently happening. Ramat, what can you tell us? Has the fire been brought under control?
got here at Dansoma, the Ghana National Fire Service were already here together with some of the residents and workers who were in this area here at Dansoma, just to ensure that the fire is brought under control. And when we got here, we could see it's actually a beauty shop here, and from what we've gathered from the students here, those in the beauty school, it's a beauty school that caught fire. They say it's as a result of a faulty air conditioner in the school. And so I have the fire service here, and I would want to find out from their assessment so far to get what really caused this fire. Hello, sir. From your assessment, what caused this fire here?
We have just put up the fire, so we are now going to make an investigation to know the cause of the fire. So now we have to wait. We cannot tell the cause of the fire now, but everything is under control and totally extinguished.
So when you went inside there, what are some of the items that you noticed that they were destroyed? And have you recorded any incident so far?
No, there's no any casualty, but we can say that the air condition, that's the air condition. So we are now going to do our investigation to know the cause of the fire, and then whatever advice we'll give.
Okay. And so you say that no casualty has been recorded so far, but I would want to record, also speak to the manager of the fire, where the incident happened, the owner of the beauty shop. She's actually in investigations with the fire service, so I would engage her later. But let me speak to some of the affected students who were there when this incident happened. I've seen many of them here. They are just trying to, ensure that they are safe, and so they rushed out. And from the little engagement I had with them, they tell me that they had to call the area boys to come and help them before the fire service got here. But as we speak, no casualty has been recorded. The incident is under control. They are still conducting their investigations to come out with the cause of the issue. Hello, I would just want to find out from you what happened. It's going for a different person. No, I just want to know what happened when you were here.
They are not the right person. They can't give you any information for now. We are not the right person to deliver information to you guys. So.
But you were inside when you rushed out as the student. You were not there. But the students say they were there during the incident.
At this point, we are all tense. If you ask me to say anything, I won't get any information for you. So, yeah.
Okay, I can understand your frustration there. I'll try and see if I can engage many more of the students who were there when this incident happened. Me pacho mi hu se obwa omo mudum muja no ube ka bibia mayana. So currently, this is the situation here. Many of them say because they are frustrated, they are finding it very difficult to say something to us now. But we are still here, and then we will try to get the manager of the beauty school that's where the incident happened here, and then we will engage her and find out what actually happened together with the investigations from the fire service. So Ken, for now, this is all we can bring to you for now.
Suman, you see the firefighters on the ground trying their possible best to douse the flame there, and that's certainly a developing story that we will be bringing you more in our subsequent bulletins. In the meantime, though, there's chaos at the Afari Military Hospital in the Achuma Nwabija district of the Ashanti region as soldiers guarding the facility confronted minority members on Parliament's Health Committee over unauthorized access into the facility. The MPP MPs, led by its ranking member on health, Nana Ayuefriye, visited the facility to assess the situation at the 500 capacity bed facility project. After a brief assessment of the abandoned project, they were confronted by soldiers to host their visit. Well, the MPs are in the Ashanti region to demand the operationalization of the abandoned health facilities in the region following the industrial action by doctors at the Akufo-Addo Teaching Hospital. Here's what ensued at the facility.
NC Sebi. Yes. The MC has come to threaten her.
So who gave you the authority?
But at the end of the day, I'm working for you.
You are not working for anybody.
You're not working for anybody. You didn't ask permission.
Why?
Did you see us stopping them? We are doing it for Ghana, not us. Officer.
Why is he doing this?
Yeah, for you.
Don't bring us. No.
There is no.
Don't go back.
That is why we are going back.
When there's an emergency, do you ask permission? When there's an emergency. Members of parliament should ask permission from you. You have a minister.
Don't ask me that. Don't ask me that.
You project ongoing. We came here. 2024. We came here. Yes.
Honorable. It looks as if they wanted you guys to seek permission before you come in. But why didn't you seek it?
Brother, emergency situation that people are being turned, people are dying. You want it to affect my family member or yours before you see the citizens' action. When you are not acting, the citizens act. So they should act and bring confidence, so we will not do these things. Nobody says these things are right, but it is necessary to put pressure on government. It's a tool for demonstration. It's a tool to express your feeling because Ashanti matters. They are doing new structures elsewhere. And we are saying that as an MP, we should treat every region equal. So just as other regions matter, Ashanti also matters. Matters here. That's it.
And so that's, are you a free?
Now, baby, I get you are the only wadi. Who called you? I'm for the form. I'm for the As my fire, I asked for Yamaday. As at my Yatimama could talk to Mama Hammer. And hospital can say way now, hospital can say way.
Let's to stay in the Ashanti region and speak to my colleague Emmanuel Bradkweku, who has been on the beat all day. Emmanuel, what is the very latest from that visit? Where else did the minority MPs go to?
All right, so Kenneth, the tour just ended an hour ago. We toured some facilities in the Ashanti region, right from the Afari Military Hospital. The minority members on the Parliament Select Committee on Health then moved to the Echima Nwabija Municipal Hospital located in Trede, and so they gained access into that facility, unlike Afari, where there was a bit of confrontation even after they had actually gone through or inspected the facility at the Trede place. They were able to gain access. They went inside and then looked at the facilities that had been abandoned. In fact, we moved through the places in the accidents and emergency center at the facility, and we went there and then we saw some of the equipment around. We saw some chairs, some medical installations in there, and then we moved to the quarters or the quarters for the doctors' housing. Also, we went there and inspected the place where we saw some pillowcases. We saw some number of fridges and also cylinders that supposedly should be used by these doctors and nurses should they have come there to work as health professionals at this particular facility. And so when we went there, these equipment or these materials had gathered some dust, others also in cobwebs and all of that. And so that's what happened at the trade. And right after that, we moved on to the Sewa Hospital, which is supposed to be the regional hospital for the Ashanti region. And it was a similar situation there. In fact, for that place, it was expected that some equipments, we are told that it's about some 90% complete. And so some equipment should be added on to finally operationalize this facility. So when we went there, just like the other places that we had gone to, it was still also not in operation. Some parts were covered in weeds and all of that. So that's the latest that we have gathered so far in terms of this tour. In fact, the minority caucus, the ranking member for the caucus, Honorable Afari, said that they were going to take matters up to ensure that the NDC government ensures the operationalization of these facilities to augment or complement efforts at the Gov't Teaching Hospital in terms of giving healthcare or delivering quality healthcare to the people of the Ashanti region and beyond. And so they are saying that they will make sure that the NDC government operationalizes this facility because they started it, and so they are hoping that the NDC would also take up, and then if they operationalize it, it becomes a property of the state and not necessarily to say the NDC or NPP in that regard, Kenneth.
So you've been to Sewa, you've been to Trede, you've been to Afari. In fact, at Afari, we saw a heavy security presence there. What about the two other hospitals that you went to? Was it guarded as well?
Well, when we went there for the Trede, we saw a security, unlike the Afari, where you'd find military men around. And that place, we did not find any military. It was just some security officers, if you say normal security officers, both at the Trede and also at the Sewa hospitals. And so that's what we saw at that particular facilities.
So just for confirmation's sake, regardless of what happened at the Afari military hospital, the minority MPs were not granted access to that facility, correct?
For the Afari hospital, they were done with inspecting everything.
Oh, okay.
Yes, exactly. When they were moving out, and then we met one lady who is part of the security guard there, who had told the minority, the ranking member, that the DC then allegedly had said he was going to lay the woman off her post, and so the woman was crying bitterly, and then we captured that, and that was when the military man came in and then asked the members whether they had the authorization to come into the facility. And so they were done with everything. We had actually granted interviews and all of that at the Afari Military Hospital until we were moving out, and then this scuffle happened.
So with those three hospitals that you visited, did you see any health personnel on board? Did you see anybody?
No, not at all. Nobody was around. No health personnel in none of the hospitals. It's just abandoned. Nothing happening there. Affair like this, we saw quite a number of cements that have been covered now by algae, and also they were caking, or they were left to harden. And also they were covered in fact, the whole facility was covered in weeds. And so you cannot gain access to some places. You have to be careful and all of that in terms of, let's say, a reptile attacking you. So that's the situation there. Unlike the other places, well, some of them had quite a number of the weeds around, but their ferry was heavily covered in weeds.
Emmanuel Bright-Kweku, thank you very much. He's a man on the ground following the minority MPs who visited some abandoned health facilities in the Ashanti region. And joining me this afternoon is a member of Parliament's Health Committee, an MP for Achim Ebuako South constituency, Dr. Kingsley Agyemang. Also joining me is former presidential advisor on health, Dr. Insia Asare. Gentlemen, grateful for your time this afternoon. Dr. Agyemang, I want to begin with you. What triggered that confrontation between the minority MPs, you in particular, and the military on the ground when you visited the Afari Military Hospital?
Yeah, Francis, a very good afternoon to your cherished listeners. I mean, there was nothing triggered that. It was just a case that we had finished our inspection, and the security guard came to tell us that the DC was said he was going to relieve her of her post because she had allowed us entry into the facility. Facility constructed with the taxpayer, where the People's Representative had access. Right. And we inspected it. Today, if anybody that is unemployed in the health value chain or a health worker, this is the saddest day, and I believe your reporter will tell you everything is ready for personalization. All the facilities that we visited, everything is ready. It's unfortunate that Afari, we saw a lot of reptiles, snakes, and scorpions. I think there was a snake even came so close at biting one of the journalists. Very, very unfortunate. National asset, Afari is about 2.2 billion Ghana cedis. 2.2 billion Ghana cedis. About 2 billion had already been invested in that facility. It's just left with 200 million for it to be fully operationalized. You can't allow national assets that we have used the sweat of the people to finance to go with. I mean, nobody's saying that you can build a state-of-the-art facility that will be 100% efficient and equipment, everything. No. They've gotten to a point where you just have to put health workers there for work to begin, because they are losing a lot. All the pressure on Akufo-Addo is because Afari is not operational. Sewua, which is the regional hospital, is not operational. Trede, one of the agenda one. When we got together, it was so sad. Come and see a state-of-the-art facility, equipment installed, health workers, bungalows, flat screens, fridges, everything in there. Just put human beings there to work. We got to the original facility too, and it was the same. Very, very, very unfortunate. So the question we should be asking is, how come people are not being engaged? You are telling the good people of this country that you have built a resilient economy that can even withstand external shocks. Your inflation figures are low. Right. Your interest rates are low. Your exchange rate is fairly stable, but it can't engage. Why the disconnect between economic indicators and employment? But you see, at the same time, you are doing 261 what they call 24-hour economy market. That is going to cost the people of this country, the big push alone, the road, is going to cost the people of this country 70 billion. Right. Putting all the Agenda 111 projects together, it's going to cost us just about 17 billion. So, Francis, can you gauge the prioritization of how we put the taxpayer? Meanwhile, when all these facilities that will ease the pressure on the Akufo-Addo is not being operationalized, that is, they are not putting staff there to work. New facilities have begun in the president's hometown. There's a construction of a new hospital. A new hospital is also being constructed at the minister, my good friend Akando's hometown. There's one going on in the Volta region. So what has the Middle Belt done to deserve this?
Interesting.
What has the Middle Belt done to deserve this?
Dr. Adjuman, that's quite interesting, because the Afari has quite a long history. This is an agreement that started way back in 2008 during former President Kufuor's tenure. They broke ground in 2014 during President Mahama's tenure. The facility was supposed to have been commissioned in 2018 during former President Akufo-Addo's tenure. One will then ask, what took what took that government so long to be unable to facilitate and ensure that this facility becomes operational several years after we broke ground for it?
There's been a lot of things like we rightly narrated. A lot of issues have happened. Prominent among is the conflict that ensued between the contractor and successive government or previous government. But they were all resolved. Everything was resolved.
If they were resolved, why were they not completed?
What is left is the Sewua Hospital or the Asante Regional Hospital is power, electricity, roads, and I think water. These are just the three things. So if you can't do this thing to make it operationalized within 1.5 years, then I mean, one is short of saying that there's great inefficiency.
How long ago was it resolved, the issue between the contractor and government?
During our last term. It was resolved during our last term.
If it was resolved, why wasn't it completed during your last term?
Moved to site, we added a lot of value to it. Come and see the gas plant, modernized gas plant.
Right.
Come and see the equipment that we have put in there. We are going to commission this year if we are kept in power.
Dr. Ajiman, 200 million Ghana cedis. That's the estimate that you say we need to get the Afari Hospital into full operation. Some will say that's a huge sum of money. And if you say that issue from the previous government was resolved, then 200 million Ghana cedis does not seem like an issue that was resolved, does it?
Oh, but you know the total cost of the project?
Yes,
take
it runs into billions.
$200 million from the total cost of the project.
It runs into billions, you tell me.
Yes, in billions. Yes, absolutely. Healthcare is expensive. I'm saying that an amount of about 2 billion has been invested in the facility already. It is left 200 million cities to be invested.
Okay.
Okay? Somebody has invested 2 billion. We are left with 200 million. How much is it for the big push put all together? It's 70 billion.
Do you think?
It's 70 billion.
Do you think, just like some people are suggesting, that this is a deliberate attempt by this government to abandon that particular hospital and other hospitals within that enclave?
In Ashanti, that is what they are saying. And
who are those saying that?
If you go and visit the facility, it bears ample testimony that what they are saying is true. Because what is the point in starting a new facility in Bali, starting a new one in Sefi for the health minister, and abandoning these ones? Okay, and you see, we have to understand that when it comes, for instance, if you go to Sewua,
right,
it has a 50-bed isolation center.
Right.
Now, let's ask ourselves, what is our preparedness towards pandemics and other infectious diseases? If something like that crops up, for instance, they are telling us they are preparing for Ebola. If Ebola happens within the Middle Belt or the Northern sector, where will we send the patient? Where will we send the patient?
Right.
Because the Sewua or the Ashanti Regional Hospital has a 50-bed isolation center. 50-bed isolation center. What is our preparedness towards infectious disease? If we can't complete it, in Greater Accra, we can boast of a few hospitals that can support it, both of the Middle Belt and the Northern sector.
Right. Dr. Ajiman, don't go yet. I must put on record that we've been trying to get the NDC side to also comment on this particular subject. We've been trying to get members on the health committee from the NDC side, and also we've reached out to the health ministry to comment on this, but we have largely been unsuccessful. As and when we're able to establish connection with them, we will speak to them as well. Let me also bring in Dr. Nsia Asare. He's a former presidential advisor on health. Dr. Asare, grateful for your time this afternoon. What is the standard protocol when members of the health committee of parliament visit a health facility? Because we all witnessed the brouhaha between them and military officials on duty at the Afari Military Hospital. Kindly unmute so I can hear you, Dr. Asare.
Okay, good afternoon to all your cherished viewers and listeners, and good afternoon to my nephew Kingsley. I think they are doing a very great job. What is the you are asking what is the procedure for a whole parliamentary select committee on health, the minority part of the select committee on health, visiting any health facility? They are the representatives of the people. The facilities, as Kingsley rightly said, is through the taxpayers' money. Afari is a loan which President Akufo initiated and got it passed in Parliament, I think in November 2008, that you rightly said. And it's the good people of this country who are paying for the loans. And our representatives are going to visit this facility to see what can be done so that quickly it can be operationalized for the good people of the Middle Belt, not only in Ashanti region, for the Middle Belt, so that Akufo-Addo will be relieved. And you are asking me what is the procedure. There are another arm of government. We have the executive, we have the legislature, we have also the judiciary. And we also say that the fourth estate of the governance is also the media. So I don't believe that they need any express permission. Because when we were in power, when I was the Director General of Ghana Health Service and I also became the presidential advisor, we only hear that, the select committee, from both sides, from minority and majority, at Akufo-Addo or this way. They don't ask anybody for any permission, so far as I know. So I think they can move to inspect any place to make sure that they are also abreast whatever is happening in these areas, so that the good people of this country will know that the people that we voted for to represent us in our various constituencies are doing their work. I think they are doing their work and they are doing their work rightly. Right. So I don't see what the brouhaha which happened there. I was a bit surprised. If the place is weedy and the soldiers believe, the military believe that they are in charge of the place and they are watching the place, I think they have some people who from once a while they can go there and clear the place. If the contractor is still on site and the contractor thinks that he's working, you won't go and find weeds all around the place. Jokingly, I was saying it today in one of the platforms that it's a green hospital, and green is for healing. But it's just a joke about that. I believe that we should not do this thing again. I'm happy that they were able to do the proper inspection and when they were going. If they were not allowed at all, I would have found very serious. I will find it very serious, and I think it should not be the way out. So they have every right, I think, to go, in my opinion, to go and look at what people's money is being used for, and then go to Parliament and go and argue, because when they say it, I think the government will agree and listen to whatever is happening.
You worked closely with former President Akufo-Addo during your time as his advisor on health. Questions about why this facility has taken so long. It's taking more than 3 presidents and it's still not completed. I want to find out, why did we miss the completion date on several occasions?
Maybe I have to explain to you very well what the Eurojet project is all about.
Tell me.
The Eurojet project is a 9-facility project across the country, which was conceived in, I think, April 2008. At that time, I was the Director General, I was the Chief Executive of Akufo-Addo Teaching Hospital, so I was very much into it. I was part of the committee. There was supposed to be 2 regional hospitals, one in Upper West, which is a Wa Regional Hospital, and then another one in Ashanti region, which is in Sewia, which is Ashanti Regional Hospital. The one in Wa was supposed to be 160 beds of all the facilities. The regional hospital in Ashanti region was supposed to be 250 bed capacity. Then there were 6 district hospitals. One in Tepa, one in Soko. In fact, the Soko one was supposed to be in Wenchi, but after MPP lost power, it was moved to Soko. I don't have any problems with it. There's one in Konongo Dumasi, for the Asante Achem Central Municipality. There is one in Chufupraso for Chufupraso District. There is one in Kwabinya for Ga East, and then one in Salaga. And then the military hospital, which was also supposed to be for the military, initially was supposed to be in Kumasi, opposite Prempeh College. The contract was given to Eurojet in Dexa. Originally, they are from Egypt. So they sourced for the funding. The total funding, I think, if you add the military hospital, is about 559 million. If I get it correctly. I think it's around that figure. It was about 380 for the 2 regional hospitals and the 6 district hospitals. The district hospitals, apart from Wabinya, which was 100 bed hospital, the rest were 60 bed hospitals each. So that is the Eurojet project. for one reason or the other, the government changed. It went through Parliament. So today I'm saying it, and I want to emphasize it, that they should go to the Hansard. Anybody who is saying that this project the funding was not sourced by President Akufo should go to the Hansard and find out if there have been any other proposal or project proposal which has been sent to Parliament for approval, apart from the one that the cabinet of President Akufo sent to Ghana government Parliament, and it was passed, I think, in October or November 2008. So what is left is the processes to go on. The finance people will use their terms, supply credit, and all these things. And when there was an Arab Spring which delayed it a bit, and I think it was the first sword was cut at Wa Regional Hospital to start the project somewhere, I think 2012 or so. So the others were all added on. The contractor employed the services of subcontractors. That is why the honorable member was talking about a lot of issues of this contract, because the contractor had a lot of issues with the subcontractors. Some of them going for arbitration on international courts and the rest, which were all resolved when we took over in 2017. If you remember, the first one to be commissioned was Wa Regional Hospital, I think in 2019, somewhere in August. And that's where the President Akufo-Addo said that these projects, the Eurojet projects, has passed through 4 successive presidents. President Akufo initiated it and brought in the funding. Late President Mills, may his soul rest in peace, then started it, and I think the sword was cut during his term. President Mahama, in his first term, President Mahama also continued it, and then President Akufo-Addo, has come to continue it, and today, by the grace of God, he is commissioning the first one. This shows the beauty of the continuity of presidency or governance in Ghana. So it's an example for the world to see that government after government will do whatever project which is good for the people of this country, because to me, health is wealth. If you don't give good quality, affordable, accessible health to the people, then you are failing the people of this country. And then from there, we commissioned Kwabenya, which is a Gov't hospital, which later on, when COVID came, we put a center there to also do COVID. If it wasn't there, we were going to have a huge problem in Ghana during that time. And then we went ahead to commission in Soko Hospital, and then Tepa Municipal Hospital. I think Tepa was around 2020 or so, just before the COVID, and then Chifupraso. And then Konongo Odumase was in 2020 or 2021. And then finally, we also commissioned Sewia Ashanti Regional Hospital on the 4th of January 2025. So what was left? We wanted to commission Afari. But when we went there was an issue, because the day that we were expecting to see the ones that the president can commission before he hands over on the midnight of the 6th of January 2025, we were looking at Afari and also at the Ashanti Regional Hospital. So when we went to Afari, the soldiers were there with us. Then the Deputy Minister for Defense, my own MP, Honorable Kofi Kwame, was also there with us. Then we decided that the main sewage system has been constructed, where the subcontractor was working on it, and he may not finish it before the 4th of January when we wanted to commission it. So we said that, okay, let's leave that one, but the soldiers should prepare. The soldiers, as I know, already have a contingent. They have even, I think, somebody who is going to command that place. It's a big compound where they will put up houses, their housing units there and everything there. The accident emergency unit, if you go there now, has been completed. It's equipped. I think maternity block has also been finished and completed. There are about 25 or so, or is it 17 or 25 separate buildings. It's a whole compound plus accommodation unit. And so we said that we wanted to, for national, they should try and move in and start working in the areas which have been completed, which I think your reporter went there. He saw all the equipment there. All the offices have been done. Everything has been done. The equipment is there. The contractor told us The rest of the equipment are in containers in Tema. So bringing those containers to come and finish up the hospital will not take 48 hours, if you agree with me. So Sewia, we went there. Sewia was put in the middle of nowhere, because that's where the land was. They have enough land to put the hospital. A beautiful hospital, 250-bed hospital. So through the initiative and then because we wanted to start the hospital as quickly as possible to relieve Komfo-Anokye, we pulled the high tension to the hospital right from Feyasi, if you know the place very well. So the high tension was done, and then one of the state-of-the-art new substations was built. Is directly in front of the hospital.
Okay.
The hospital has 2 blocks of accommodation, which will take about 24 or 48 workers. The hospital has everything.
Right.
The ECG have dropped the terminal, to the high tension terminal, to the hospital.
Dr. Nsiasari, those are very revealing facts you're giving me, but respectfully, I would like you to hold on. Let me bring in Dr. Mark Ket Nawani. He's the chairman of Parliament's Health Committee. Dr. Nawani, welcome to the program. 18 years after funding was secured for the construction of the Afari Hospital. Here we are today talking about when it will be eventually opened. You're being accused by the minority MPs in Parliament that 17 months after you assumed office, you should have by now made it operational. Why has that not happened?
Let me say good afternoon to the viewers of Joy TV and say that probably there's no need crying over spilled milk, and that they had opportunity to complete these 2 hospitals in the Ashanti region and to reduce the lack of beds that we complain today, and probably reduce the no-bed syndrome that is taking place today. But they blew it up. What my colleague, doctor, is saying is just a lot of processes that have taken place. And they always try to justify that all the projects that was carried out and during the NEC period is theirs. And so he starts from 2008. 2008 was the election year that they were talking about. And the resources came in 2009. And so NDC was able to carry out all these projects. Most of them were between 20 to 80% completed. When they came to power, for the first 3 years, they said they were carrying out what we call forensic auditing of those projects and stopped all the contractors from working. This is where the mistake started. And they tried to let them resume work when we're going to the 2020 elections. It's for them to gain the credit that they were those who have completed the projects. And it backfired. And they still continue the same methods. They allowed the contractors to work, but they wouldn't give them funding. They wouldn't solve the problems that they had. And we are talking about 8 years. And they now come back speaking like saints. And then within 1.5 years, the NDC government to have solved all these problems. I've seen my colleagues standing at Afari Hospital, weeding. Yes, that is the law of karma. The weeds that you allowed to grow there for 8 years, you come back and weed. We also went there when we were in opposition. And the weeds were just like that. Now, this government has come. The first 1 year, we have to work on the economy. And we are still working on the economy. We have said that we are not going to borrow money to carry out projects in this country. All all the projects that we're carrying out is money that is generated by our own revenue sources in the country. In other words, domestic funding. And the president has said that we are not going to behave like them, where they had $400 million, and yet failed the Ashanti region people. So and Afari, they just needed some resources to finish it. When the COVID money came and the first 100 million, they decided to give 101 contracts. And I repeat, 101 contracts. Instead of money that could have been used to build 20 to 30 and complete.
111.
111 contracts. Instead of using it to complete 20 or 30 hospitals and increasing the bed capacity of hospitals in the country. And we have professionals, doctors, who are advising the president. And I'm surprised that these same doctors and advisors are back again playing the old song. We connected electricity, we brought water, we did this. Let me tell you, when you go to Afari, as we went there, most of the equipment and other things that were left there have been exposed to the weather. And indeed, most of them are not working. Yesterday, during the program, a good friend of mine said that, one of the people on the panel said that to hand over a hospital, you need to test all the equipment. You need to do everything before you can operationalize the hospital. Let them go and test all those equipment and everything for 1 year and see whether they are working. I'm saying all these things not to say that, no, the NDC government is going to abandon the distance, but they should be the last people to be complaining and to be leading the fight. We politicians should allow other people, the press, we should allow other stakeholders probably to press on us to, at any particular time, take decisions that are in the interest of the citizens. What they did in 8 years was not in the interest of the citizens. Right. And I'm praying that what we are going to do, immediately we stabilize the economy, we will not follow their path. We will not do what they are doing. 10 hospitals at a time, we are going to work on it, and we are going to look for the resources inside. As you are aware, the donor funding has dwindled and reduced drastically. We don't depend on it again. We are not also going to borrow money and have a kenke party.
Does that mean that, Dr. Nawani...
What we are going to do is that we are going to generate the money in Ghana here and carry out the project.
Dr. Nawani, at the heart of this challenge is ordinary Ghanaians who are bearing the brand. We see what is happening at the Akufo-Addo Teaching Hospital, which has exposed our already crippling health sector. You were saying that the MPP had 8 years and they were not able to complete it. To be fair also, this construction also happened briefly under John Mahama 1 at Mills, and then now 17 months after you assumed office, it has still not been commissioned because according to the minority MPs, we need 200 million Ghana cedis to make it operational. That is from the entire budget of over 2 billion Ghana cedis that was used to construct this big hospital in the Ashanti region. Are you saying that there's no end in sight as to when this hospital is going to be completed because the MPP failed to complete it in their 8 years?
Yeah, there are a number of the hospitals that need resources to complete. Indeed, we have assigned some of them, and we are looking for the money internally to complete the projects. And that is exactly what we are going to follow. We are going to make sure that we look for the money internally and work on the projects. This is a commitment by President Mahama. And this year, I believe that we are going to tackle not less than 10 of them. We are not going to spread the money like they did. They have left us uncompleted projects, probably more than 150 uncompleted projects, or even more than that. When NDC was leaving power, the NGOs and then the non-state actors documented about 50 uncompleted projects, and they have left us about 150 uncompleted projects without completing Sewua, Afari, and other projects which they inherited as uncompleted projects from the NDC. And now they want to take credit for completing Soko. They want to take credit for completing solar when those projects were already practically completed under NDC Mahama 1.
So when should we see the completion of the Afari Hospital, the Sewua Hospital, the Trede Hospital, and other hospitals of national interest? When are we likely to see its completion?
The Ministry of Health is highly committed to the completion of all these hospitals. Indeed, we even have regions that do not have regional hospitals, let alone to have a teaching hospital and a regional hospital. All these things are under consideration. And I'm saying that we need to generate the money internally. They should assist us generate this money internally.
Dr. Nawani.
And we are not going to borrow.
Dr. Nawani.
We are not going to borrow money to destroy the economy, because the country has to live. The economy has to live. Once we get an economy that is alive, then we can get money to complete the hospitals.
Dr.
Yes. So we are not going to do anything that is going to dislocate.
Okay, Dr. Nawani, if I may at this point, you say that there are some regions that do not have teaching hospitals, talk of regional hospitals. I don't understand that part. Are you saying that because the Ashanti region has a teaching hospital, they don't need a regional hospital? Is that what you're implying?
What I'm saying is that there are even West regions in the country. That is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yes, I'm saying that there are West regions in the country because they don't, apart from not having doctors and equipment, they don't even have what we call a regional hospital. Yes. But there are West regions.
The concerns
all these are competing.
Right.
Competing.
The concerns are that, for example, Konfanochi Teaching Hospital is a major
with whatever is in Ashanti region.
Okay.
And I'm saying that all of these things are under consideration.
Right. Okay. The concern is that, for example, the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital is a major referral hospital in the middle and northern belt of this country. And if the Sewua and the Trede Hospital are also eventually commissioned, they will also become major referral centers for the middle and northern belt. So you don't necessarily have to be living within the Ashanti region to be able to access it. You can live in Bono, Ahafo, you can live in the north and still have access to it.
I agree perfectly.
Okay.
That if we're able to get Sewua and Afari to operate, it will ease the burden, not only in Ashanti region, but probably in the whole of Ghana. And that one I perfectly agree.
Right.
But we must also be thinking of geographical access to healthcare. And when we have regions that do not even have hospitals that can operate and assist about 80% or 90% of the population in those regions, those regions must not also be left out.
Right.
And that's why I'm saying that all of these are under consideration. And the Minister of Health knows very well this situation. Our limitation is the funds and the method of funding. Yes.
Right.
And the problem we have is due to the new economic order that we all want. That is the resilience of health, health security, health sovereignty. You look for the money internally and you use it to build hospitals in the country.
Right. Dr. Nawani, don't go yet. Dr. Kingsley Agyemang is still on the line. He's a member of the Health Committee in Parliament. Dr. Agyemang, you've been listening to your chairman on the Health Committee accusing you, the MPP, of having 8 whopping years in government and still unable to complete these projects. And now you are calling on the NDC to complete a project when they have barely spent a year and a half in government.
Very good afternoon to my chairman. Listening to him, I don't know, I lost touch at the moment because he's a very experienced medical practitioner, private medical practitioner, who knows how hospitals operationalize. Maybe on public TV, you advance the issue.
Dr. Agyemang, can you kindly speak up for me?
I'm saying that he's my chairman of my committee, and very experienced in private practice, and he understands the issues better. Speaking in the public and making his party look right, he will say the things that he said. It's in order. Because, you see, there are a lot of contradictions. You ask the right questions. Ashanti region does not need a regional hospital because the other regions that do not have a regional hospital. But in terms of population, Ashanti is the next largest after Accra. Accra has a teaching hospital. Accra has teaching hospitals and regional hospitals. Population growth. It's one of the key indicators or determinants that called for location of certain facilities. Chairman was talking about funding, and they will not borrow. Chairman, please, maybe you may have to look at the finance statement. You are borrowing a lot. Your government said we're going to borrow about $11 billion domestically to support the economy. Your government is borrowing from the domestic market, crowding out the private sector. They are mopping out a lot of money. So you are borrowing, Chairman, respectfully, you are borrowing. I like the statement my chairman made with regards to the law of karma. And this has, after going through all the sad moments that I saw going through the hospitals, his chairman has lightened my day up by quoting the law of karma. That they were there when the wheels were up and they are in power. So if we've been there, it means that we are coming to power very soon. Chairman, very soon you'll be a ranking. You will not chair again. Thank you. You put it very right.
What was the weeding about, though? I saw one of your colleagues attempting to weed the facility at Afari.
Yeah, the whole place is inundated with a lot of weeds that walk paths or walking ways were very difficult. So we have to take cutlasses to clear paths so that we could move through the facility.
Right. Don't go yet. Dr. Insia Asare is also on the line. He's a former presidential advisor on health for former President Nana Akufo-Addo. Dr. Insia Asare, there's been some accusations also coming from the chairman of the Health Committee. In fact, you were the advisor on health to President Akufo-Addo when he commissioned the Agenda 111 hospitals in conjunction with other health facilities which were under construction at that time. He's been making the claim that because of the bombardment of several uncompleted health facilities which were started under President Akufo-Addo, it's been very difficult to complete all of them at the same time. That is why these hospitals have not been attended to yet. Does that not make sound argument to you?
No, it doesn't make any sound argument to me. He said something that they are thinking they are not going to borrow to do any health facility. Maybe if my colleague and the chairman of the select committee should go and look at the handing over notes, to go and find out if Agenda 111, it is not 111 that we have started, 111 we have started. The district hospitals and the 2 psychiatric hospitals, including the one in his own constituency, where the source of funding is coming from. It's not borrowing. We didn't borrow. As he rightly said, you use as an initial fund $100 million from the COVID fund, and then what you call the above budget formulary allocation, ABFA, 20% of the CAPEX. That is the oil process. I'm not saying this, but PIAC, the Public Interest Accountability Committee, which is an independent committee which monitors the oil proceeds, the oil revenue that you get, because oil will not be forever in this country. But what legacy are we going to leave, or what heritage projects that you do? And they said that one of the most important things that this Akufo-Addo, Dr. Bawumia's government has done was the Agenda 111. He also rightly accepted that you should have accessibility of hospitals, and then make sure that hospital districts and the regions, he's talking about some regions doesn't have teaching hospital. Maybe I have to remind him that any hospital, all these Agenda 111 hospitals can teach. The name teaching hospital is just in the name. They can teach. And then, so we are using the oil revenue. We didn't borrow for the districts and the 2 psychiatric hospitals. The ones that we want to borrow, we even earmark it. That's why it's 111 hospitals, are for the new regions to get regional hospitals. That's the one that was started because there was a loan already from Amandi for the Takoradi one that they were doing, so that if Kwanta becomes a specialized or quaternary or a tertiary hospital. So he should get his fast rest. And secondly, let me remind him that operationalization of a hospital doesn't mean that you will finish sometimes, I'm sure he has a private hospital. I believe that he's still doing some work there while the work is going on. So far as we are concerned, the 2 hospitals in Ashanti region and the 3rd one in Hanta West of Agenda 111, which have been commissioned, we can start working in today because the equipment are there. He should take a trip there as the minority went to have a look, to go and have a look at Trede and have a look at the Ofori and go to Hanta West and go and have a look. And in his opinion as a doctor, if the machines cannot be tested and they put human beings there, they should employ. The minister said there are 100,000 health workers who are not employed. They should employ them and go and work in this hospital, at least the ones that will finish. And I'm very happy to be the presidential advisor on health, together with the vice president and the president, to agree that we should give fitting, state-of-the-art, befitting hospitals, district hospitals, to all the districts who don't have hospitals in this country. I'm very happy about that. They should continue. Governance is continuing. And as Kingsley said earlier, if they don't have money, why are they saying that they are building a new hospital in Boli when Boli has a district hospital? There's a district hospital in Boli, which was built by a champion. But we are looking at hospital. If they are going to re-equip and maybe expand the Boli hospital, I don't have any problems with it. But all what people are saying, we are talking about Ashanti region. And I'm sure the people in Ashanti region are now listening to him. And from his own statements, he believes that there are other areas which will have hospitals. Why only Ashanti? That's what he said. You can't deny it. So please, we want to solve the problem. I'm happy that Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II, Asante Hene, have spoken to the workers and they've gone to work. I'm happy that my colleagues have gone to work. You shouldn't say anything which will infringe them. Please.
Dr. Asari, we are wrapping up. We are wrapping up. So I want to give each person 30 seconds for your final words. I'll begin with you, respectfully.
Yeah, all what I will say is that operationalizing Sewia Ashanti Regional Hospital, Ofori District Hospital, Municipal Hospital, Trede Municipal Hospital doesn't take anything.
Okay.
The money that they are using for the big push, they should take a portion of it and finish Afari Hospital. And then also make sure that the people who are at home, the health workers who are at home, can be employed to go and start working in this hospital as quickly as possible, so that they can bring relief to Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, which is overused and overstretched. So that the good people of the Middle Belt can have quality, accessible, affordable health system in the country. Thank you, because health is wealth.
Dr. Anthony Siasare is a former presidential advisor on health. Dr. Ket Nawani is the chairman of Parliament's Health Committee. Dr. Nawani, 30 seconds. I want to pick your final thoughts.
My final thought is that the NDC is focused on completing all these projects, including Sewua and Afari. And they shouldn't misquote me to say that I'm I'm saying that other regions are more important than Ashanti. We are adding other regions, but we are not removing Ashanti. Let it be clear to him. Yes.
Right.
And I hope that other stakeholders and other citizens will hold the NDC in trust and will complete the projects that have been left abandoned by the previous government.
Dr. Market Nawani, thank you very much. He's the chairman of Parliament's Health Committee. Dr. Kingsley Agyemang, same for you.
Okay, so all that these hospitals need is people to work in. Employ nurses and doctors to go and work. It's as simple as that. You have a facility with demand exceeds supply. Yet you are constructing markets, 261, and you are saying that is not over ambitious. That is fine, no problem. Yeah, all that you are saying is that let the nurses, doctors who are unemployed, there's work for them. Employ them to go and work.
Right.
The Honorable Minister for Finance should go to should look at the Ministry of Health budget and, release funds for them. I was expecting my colleague to, impress on the Ministry of Finance to make funds available, which I know has been his dream and his advocacy. So, Honorable Akufo-Addo, all these facilities, give clearance so that the good economy you say you have built should be able to employ nurses and doctors to go and work in these facilities. Simplicity.
Right. Dr. Kingsley Agyemang, thank you very much. He's a member of Parliament's Health Committee. You're still watching The Pulse here on Joy News, and let's bring you more health stories this afternoon because activities at the outpatient department of the Akufo-Addo Teaching Hospital are fully resumed, with patients being called in and assigned to their respective doctors, while those with scheduled appointments are being attended to. This relief returned to patients after the suspension of a 4-day strike by doctors over the suspension of the hospital's CEO. Hospital sources confirmed that doctors and other health workers have resumed full-time duties, leading to a significant number in service delivery. The OPD, which had witnessed reduced activity during the industrial action as patients sought care at peripheral health facilities, has today been crowded with patients receiving treatment and consultations. Clinton Yabua has more.
3 of those hospitals. Since then, nothing has happened here. Joel Kweku is a unit committee chairman.
Right, so let's stay in the Ashanti region, and Clinton Yabua has been at the hospital all day, gauging the current situation, and is joining me for more. Clinton, what did you find when you visited the OPD of the Akufo-Addo Teaching Hospital?
And I must say that the communication to the suspension of the strike, the industrial action has really trickled down to the hospital, doctors, among doctors and patients, because we didn't just find doctors who have returned back to their post. We also find that the OPD itself was very much overcrowded. As we speak, there are a lot of patients at the OPD. Even their waiting area is full as we speak, and the numbers are still trooping in. The authorities at the OPD that we spoke to explained that they are now dealing with numbers of new and old admittance. In fact, they explained that some of the patients who had come during the strike period and were turned away, upon hearing that the strike had been suspended, are now returning. Those are old patients, and the new ones are also coming up. And so the OPD is very much overcrowded that now queues are being formed, emerging outside of the facility.
OPD might be full to resumption. How about emergency services?
Well, we do not have official communication as to whether the hospital is now accepting emergency services or emergency cases, but what we saw and what we observed at the emergency units showed that the place is barely functioning. There are less people there. We could find only 1 or 2 doctors and patients walking around. But we do not know whether they are working or whether they are accepting patients. But we know that the place has been barely functioning now.
The doctors were the first to call the strike, and then they were followed by the nurses. Have they also resumed full-time?
In fact, yes, we can confirm that nurses have also resumed, because at the OPD, nurses are the first point of call that before you get to a doctor. And so you find nurses taking the vitals of patients even before they are assigned to consultation rooms. So we can confirm that nurses are also at post.
Clinton Yeboah is a man on the ground at the Akufo-Addo Teaching Hospital in Kumasi. Thank you, Clinton. Now, a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee in Parliament, Patrick Yalboama, has cautioned against potential misrepresentation and propaganda by the government in the handling of xenophobic attacks against foreign nationals in South Africa. He says the sensitive nature of the issue requires a measured and factual approach that reflects principles of diplomacy, adding that the foreign minister must urgently appear before Parliament to address pressing concerns. Patrick Boama noted discrepancies in accounts by locals and South African officials, expressing worry about the investment challenges any mishap could create.
We know that there are over 25 to 30,000 Ghanaian nationals in South Africa. It will be very good for the foreign minister to come and brief the House, because we don't want any propaganda, misrepresentation, or any form of unconventional diplomatic means to be adopted. Ghana and South Africa have enjoyed enormous diplomatic relationship. Look at the investment South Africans have in Ghana. MTN, Stanbic Bank, a lot of investment that the mining companies, Goldfields and other companies, and what they've brought into this country in terms of jobs, in terms of revenue. So our push is for the foreign minister to come and brief the House, so that we can also, as a House and as a Parliament, assist in ensuring that diplomatic relationship between South Africa is not ruined, so that any issue that the government or the foreign minister has with some of the issues that he thinks must be addressed, the House can also be apprised of it, so that we will address it. If you listen to some of the press conferences by the South African foreign minister, he is not accepting what our foreign minister is putting out there. So it means there's some issue that has to be addressed if the foreign minister appears and we ask him questions.
The minority in Parliament is also demanding the foreign affairs minister appears before the House.
If you registered over 1,500 Ghanaians and you've been able to evacuate only 300, what is happening to the rest of our nationals? What is going to happen with those who did not register? Because we know that a lot of Ghanaians occupy top positions in South Africa in many institutions or companies, the municipalities, the defense sector, and in other financial institutions there. We don't want this situation to derail our relationship with South Africa. So it's very important that the foreign minister appears before the House. I've been calling on him to appear before the House so that we can interrogate matters dispassionately. Diplomacy has nothing to do with propaganda and mischief. He may have a case, the South Africans may have a case with immigration or migration issues. We may also have a point as a House to assist in addressing the matter. So I think our call must be heeded by the leadership of Parliament, by the Speakership, to invite the Foreign Minister. It's getting to over a month now. We haven't heard from the Foreign Minister on this particular issue, very important issue, and we think it's about time that we put it out there to put on some pressure or pile on some pressure to get him to appear before the House.
That's MPP MP Patrick Yalboama there. He's also been accusing the Foreign Affairs Minister of making social media posts instead of coming to Parliament.
Besides, in a country, like he always rushes to the House to brief us on e-visas and what have you, he should come to the floor. He should stop tweeting and posting. We are the people's representatives. The people in South Africa, they have reps in the chamber. If the person is from Takrady, Honorable Daku Mensah is the person's MP. If the person is from Abeka, Boama is the person's MP. So we'll find a way to even reach out to our constituents out there to help solve some of the matters that we are being confronted with.
Still to come on the polls, more than 400 final year students of Anglican Senior High School have reportedly opted to register for the 2026 WASSCE through various private schools, raising concerns about growing attempts by candidates to evade stricter examination supervision. That's what's coming up after the break. Welcome back. More than 400 final year students of Anglican Senior High School have reportedly opted to register for the 2026 WASSCE through various private schools, raising concerns about growing attempts by candidates to evade stricter examination supervision. The development comes as WAEC intensifies efforts to curb examination malpractice across the country through enhanced invigilation and monitoring systems. Assistant Headmaster of Academics of the school, Samson Kofi Jesse, indicates that the students chose not to register for the examination through their school, but instead enrolled at different private institutions believed to offer a more favorable environment for candidates.
But you see, as humans, as you try to discover their tactics, they also try to outwit you. So that is how it is.
But are you sure that this time around we are not going to record more examination, more practice as compared to previous years?
By all means, we will record. But then the relatively, I don't think it will be as much as the previous year.
But the issue of students registering in other centers, does it not affect the students?
The students
themselves?
They think that rather favors them. Because here in our school, the candidates were supposed to be 2,035, but 438 of them did not register here. Why? Because where they are going, they think that is where they are going to get assistance. But they think that here, you have to write it on your own. But elsewhere, they think they will get assistance. They come away and go to register over there.
And still on education, the sector minister, Haruna Idrisu, has expressed concern over the growing indiscipline in senior high schools across the country, warning that the government will take decisive action this year to address the trend. Speaking at Adontin Senior High School in the Eastern Region on Wednesday, the minister said the development has become a major challenge in the secondary education sector.
One of the major problems we will deal with this year, 2026, will be stemming the growing indiscipline in our schools, particularly at the secondary education level. We expect to hold a national conference in Kumasi on or before the end of July, where we expect that educators, academia, the church, moral society, the Muslim community and chiefs and parents, regional and district directors of education and headmistress will converge in Kumasi or Sunyani, depending upon what emerges as appropriate venue to deal with stemming the growing indiscipline in our schools. We have always maintained that parenting is a shared responsibility of the significant other of father and mother, and then the teacher. But we are losing many of it, no thanks to social media, which has become a toxic source of mis and disinformation, and many young people relying on it. But when we meet, I'm sure we'll take lessons from those educationists as to how to deal with it. But it must begin with responsible parenting and responsible teaching. I should thank the Member of Parliament for joining us this morning.
That's the Education Minister, Haruna Drusu, who also visited some other schools where he addressed the issues of school feeding.
I'm also happy to note that at least for the first time in many years, you are not suffering from food shortages in school. Thanks to the decoupling of the Gov't Fund, the Gov't Fund through Ghana Commodity Exchange and the buffer stock is adequately making sufficient provisions for food. So at least the feeding component of the free senior high school is now being managed well with Gov't Fund funding. This year alone, we allocated 4 billion Ghana cedis to take care of your feeding across the country.
Well, he also revealed plans to expand educational infrastructure.
Let me be concluding as you are closer to getting onto your seats. Only next week, the World Bank will meet on the 16th of this month to give approval to what we have promised of expanded infrastructure. We intend to convert 30 Category C schools to B and 20 Category B schools to A with $300 million for expanded infrastructure across the country. We will make a special provision for Category A schools like Ibri Girls so that you benefit from an added infrastructure. I see that from headmistress. I should thank her for the leadership she's providing.
Well, let's stay on education because examination malpractice continues to cast a shadow over Ghana's education system, raising concerns about the integrity of the country's most important national examinations. Well, during the 2026 BEC, the West African Examination Council, WAEC, reported multiple cases of malpractice involving candidates, teachers and invigilators, with dozens of arrests made across the country. Some of the cases involved the use of mobile phones, the circulation of answers on social media platforms, and even the use of artificial intelligence tools to facilitate cheating. As stakeholders search for lasting solutions, attention is increasingly turning to technology-driven learning platforms and teacher development initiatives that can strengthen genuine learning, reduce dependence on APO and exam leaks, and improve academic outcomes. Well, today we examine how innovation is helping tackle the root causes of examination malpractice and preparing students for success through understanding rather than shortcuts. And I've been joined in the studio by Nelly Owusua-Odame, who is a publication and content developer at Syllabus GH, and Henrietta Nyako, who is the program implementation and operations lead at EduTaps Consult. Ladies, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Henrietta, let me start with you. We often hear about, students cheating in exams, and now they're even resorting to AI to cheat in exams. How do we resolve that issue, and how does your consultancy come in?
Thanks for your question. My warm regards to EduTaps team and teachers in the AAK district in Ghana. The main issue is about assessment. When teachers are being trained to get the competence and the skills in certain high-valid, reliable test items for learners to also practice, learners tend to become familiar with the content and then the answers to various questions. So with this, when they get to examination, there wouldn't be the need for APO or whatsoever. So learners become familiar with questions and how to answer them. Considering our content, we specialize on Bloom's taxonomy, then depth of knowledge, right? So with that, we have areas that teachers have to assess learners. Now with this basic and then the pre-tertiary level, teachers have to move from this remembering and then understanding rate of giving learners questions to answer. Then they have to move to apply, then analyze, and then the creative part of giving questions to learners to answer. So in these ways, learners tend to become familiar in how to answer questions. So when they get to examination centers or when it's time for them to write exams, they find things easy and APO doesn't come in their way, and then they are good to go.
Okay, I'll come back to you, Henrietta. Nelly, I mean, students will always find a way to cheat regardless of what happens. That's where your organization comes in. How do you help students be comfortable and confident with themselves so that they believe that what they've learned is what is going to come, so that they don't rely on APO, as we term it locally?
Okay, thank you very much once again. I would say that at Syllabus GH, we make students mastery through their learning process. So when they are familiar with their content, their syllabus, they will not rely on APO or last minute something. When students are able to pass through our app with the learning of our interactive quizzes, they are being challenged to learn more, to know more. They become curious. So at the end, they are always stick to the app, which will help them take off memorization, but rather mastery over whatever they are going to have. So at the end of their BC or their WASI, they don't rely on last minute questions because they already have mastery over the content. Yeah.
But do you think this will work? This will be effective? How effective will this be, you think?
Yeah, it will work because we are challenging students day in, day out. We are bringing new things on board to just attract them, to arouse their interest. So I believe as time goes on, it's not easy though, but it will really work. Yeah.
Henrietta, I'm going through some of your stuff, EduTaps. We've heard of many professional teachers saying that workshops can be very theoretical. How does your outfit ensure that skills acquired through your program will translate into real-life practice?
Thank you for that question. For EduTaps, we deal with professional development blended model. That integrates face-to-face and then the use of digital tools through the LMS.
Okay.
So with this, we get to the ground where teachers are being grouped into clusters and then the school level. So there, we register teachers on our LMS. We allow them to sign in with the help of the team members of EduTaps. Then through that, we give them the right skills, the requisite skills that a teacher needs to construct high-valid and reliable test items that can help them monitor learners' learning outcomes and also achievements.
What role do teachers have in ensuring that the menace of malpractice is kept? Because usually we've been hearing about teachers' involvement in assisting students with APO.
Right. With teachers, I know if you are able to cover all your content with learners, and then you assure learners that whatever you've given them will be the main thing they are going to answer questions on during their summative exam or formative exam, I think this will curb the situation in APO and then the malpractices aspect. And also, when teachers are involved in these malpractices, I think they should resist from those attitudes for learners to also know their way in the teaching and learning, ways. So this is what I have.
Right. Nelly, there are often the time that people say that our poor there, it's indispensable in our in our educational system. This is just by the way. Have you had APO before?
Oh, why not? But it didn't come.
Oh, so you've actually had APO before?
Experience of that, yeah. But
how many times? Not once, I guess.
Oh, so it happened once. Since it didn't drop, I just had to take my mind out of it. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Oh, very sure. I was disappointed, so I just had to, focus and follow my trend. Yeah, that is learning what I've been taught. And
but if yours didn't come, others came. So some will say, why do you want to take the source of happiness for students in exam from them? Especially now that it has become so easy to enter the examination hall with foreign material, because now people have their phones, at the tap of their phones, they just search, they go to ChatGPT, to go whatever answer they have, they input it. So why did you enjoy it, but you don't want somebody to enjoy it?
Okay, since our curriculum now is standard on, is basically based on what you learn till you finish. Let's say from basic 1, you start something, you continue from basic 2, basic 3. So you have to get the content right from the scratch. So let's say you are depending on APO and you don't get the concept. How are you going to face real life? So I discourage APO. Because real life, you need critical thinking.
Right.
Yes, you have to apply what you've learned in the classroom. So if you don't really know what you have learned, how are you going to face real life? So, yeah, I would say.
We have students who wait until last minute before they learn. They decide to learn and then hope that they pass. And then with this new approach that you are bringing, how are you going to ensure that students will not have to wait last minute? They will have to, learn to understand and apply the theories when they get to the exam hall. How will this initiative ensure that that is done?
Okay, so at Syllabus GH, as I already said, we have interactive quizzes. It's more interactive. We have personalized AI. So let's say a student is on our app, maybe learning the content is very difficult for that person. With the help of our interactive quizzes, the students can access it at any moment due to his or her learning progress. So let's say a student follows the app with the interactive quizzes, then we'll be able to stick on it because we have leaderboards, we have badges, so it will arouse the interest of that learner. You see, so a learner will not be last minute, wait for last minute something, but rather due to what we have on the app, it will stick or it will arouse the interest of that learner. Yes. So
how is the app like and how does it work? Is it addictive?
Yes, with our content.
Good.
Because of our personalized AI, and also we have analytical tracker. So if a student is on the app, your progress is being tracked, so you know where your gaps are, and we have a review and a recap to bridge your gaps. Yes, on our app. So that's how our app works.
Right. Henrietta, usually most students say that if teachers teach them, they don't understand. They usually only understand when it is explained to them by their peers. At EduTaps, how are you ensuring that teachers are equipped enough to ensure that not only are they teaching, but they are teaching so that students understand? Because my director said mathematics, for instance, when he was in school, they taught him and taught him and taught him. He couldn't understand. So how how is EduTaps ensuring that teachers don't only teach, but they teach to the understanding of their students?
Okay. With EduTaps, we train teachers with practical skills. So we've taught teachers how to make teaching and learning practical, so that learners can interact with their peers, ask questions, and then remediation is also offered after teaching. So with this, if you have any challenge after teaching, you can contact the teacher or your peers, then we solve the challenge for you to understand the content.
How has the response from teachers been like to these solutions that you've come up with?
Well, we've gotten a lot of success stories. Previously, teachers were attending workshops that were theoretically made, but with ours, when we went to the field, teachers are giving us success story in how we are making ours practical for them to understand the content and how to go by it in their various classrooms. And with EduTaps, the main problem we are solving is assessment. We've noticed that teaching and learning without assessment is a problem. They go hand in hand.
Right.
So if you are able to facilitate the content right, you should be able to assess the learners right. And with test item construction, when you are good at it and you make it practical, learners are going to get every content, and with EduTaps, no assessment is that tedious to learners.
How about teachers in remote areas who have difficulty in having access to the internet? Are they going to have to follow the same format, or there are special packages for them so that they can bypass the poor networks in those areas?
So we have a package for them. With teachers in the rural areas, we go to their doorsteps in cluster basis with our digital tools like the laptop, then the smartphones. We also move with our routers. So we help learners, being the teachers, to go through our LMS by helping them to sign in and then taking our pre-test. Then after that, we do our face-to-face training. After the face-to-face training, we have our post-test, and after we have engagement. After all the sessions, we also come back for training impacts and evaluation. That is where we collect the challenges and those who are lagging behind. We also have master trainers in all the districts that we have trainings with the teachers. So with that, we liaise with them to conduct those training impacts for us to also do mop-ups for teachers who could then grab our concept.
Nellie has told me about her days when she used to get up and they didn't come. What about yours? Did they come?
Well, once.
Once? That means you were getting it all the time.
I got the questions, but it couldn't come.
Oh.
So I realized all these questions that we are going to write in exams, they are from the content given to us by the teachers. So what I have to do is to sit down, read, and then learn whatever the teachers has given me. So my APO is the notes and the content given to me by my teachers and the researches that I've been doing with my group members.
Right. Nellie, you deal primarily with students. We've seen the education minister talk about the fact that student indiscipline is on the rise on campuses across the country. How do these solutions address the concept of student indiscipline, which continues to rise across especially our senior high schools?
Okay. So students indiscipline can be curbed through many ways. One, we have to let students understand that whatever they learn, they will meet it. So, as I said, at syllabus GH, the moment you get the app as a WASI student, a student preparing for WASI, you can have a lot of past questions. So just stick to that with the notes given to you by your teachers. Stick to that and learn. You'll be able to succeed successfully. Unlike depending on APO is not going to help. And examination malpractice is not going to help students. So, yeah.
So how do students also in remote areas benefit from some of these? Because students in the remotest of the country will be writing the same exams with students at affluent areas. How do they benefit?
So, Syllabus GH is there to bridge the gap between students in the underserved communities, be as the same as students in the rural areas, the urban areas, sorry. So students at the underserved communities, they'll be given the same content. So that's why we leverage on the MasterCard Foundation EdTech Fellowship. Through their funds and their support, we'll be able to optimize to zero data so that each and everyone could come on board and learn progressively.
The concept, these are the departing words that I want to pick from you. The concept of cheating, it goes a long way. It's a whole network. I mean, during the BEC this year, we saw twins, in fact, twins exchanging papers. One of them would write and then pass it over to the other, and then when it's done, they will exchange again. So it's a ring, it's a bigger network, not only the students, but teachers and even invigilators. We hear about people paying monies, students paying monies at the end of the day to teachers and invigilators. What would be your advice to teachers who aid in cheating in exams?
Well, my advice to them is to treat the content that they have to with the learners. Because if the learners have the content, there wouldn't be any way that they would pay for teachers to help them in cheating in examination. And then to the learners, I'm telling them that whatever the content given them, they should find time, appropriate time to revise them. Because the same contents are coming to the examination. They have to sit down and then write. And when they cheat in examination and they climb the ladder to a higher institution, you tend to know that the result that they went with wasn't their true result.
That's true.
And with this, I'm telling them, and to parents too, they should guide their learners when they come home. They should guide them. They should set places for them to study so that in the future we'll get workers who are reliable.
Thank you for that. And Nelly, to you too. Usually we see students who rely solely on APO to the extent that when they go to the exam hall, they don't write anything because they have nothing in their mind. They are just waiting for the invigilator to turn away so that they bring out the APO and start writing. What would be your advice to such a student?
Okay. My advice to such a student is, students, please learn on your own. We are in a technology era, and I entreat each student to learn aside the classroom, teacher-student learning. You have access to all digital learning aids, so you can use that in research to help you be abreast of whatever you want to know, so that you will not rely on APO. At least if you are able to do a research, you'll be able to cover more of what is in the classroom, and you'll be able to know things which are not even aligned to whatever you are learning in the classroom. At the end, you'll be able to write something at the examination hall. So you should do away with APO, last-minute APO.
Great advice. Nelly Owusu-Odam is the publication and content developer at Syllabus GH. Henrietta Nyako is the program implementation and operations lead at EduTap's Consult. Ladies, thank you very much for passing through the studio this afternoon.
Thank you.
Now, the Ghana Institution of Engineers is raising concerns over what it describes as persistent regulatory non-compliance and unsafe construction practices following a series of building collapses across the country. The latest findings come just days after a 3-story building collapsed at the North Industrial Area in Accra, killing 3 people and renewing concerns about construction standards and enforcement. According to the institution, preliminary assessments point to a combination of factors, including unauthorized engineering modifications, changes in the intended use of buildings and the engagement of unqualified persons in critical construction activities. The engineers are also cautioning against attributing building failures solely to environmental factors, insisting that human actions and regulatory lapses remain high.
In some cases, we observed what is commonly referred to as pancake collapse, where a floor fails subsequently under their own weight and lands on the next floor. Now let's look at systematic deficiencies, shared responsibility of citizens and state institutions. Our investigations reveal that many of the collapsed buildings were constructed without adequate professional supervision. A key challenge within the sector is the circumvention of established regulatory processes by some developers. However, we must also be candid that these failures are not solely attributable to private actors. By law, developers are required to obtain building permits supported by approved technical documentation and to await formal authorization before commencing construction. Once permits are issued, the head of works is expected to be notified so that a representative can be assigned to monitor construction at every stage. In practice, however, developers often assume the role of project managers, engaging artisans. That is not to say that artisans are not crucial in our built environment, no. Instead of licensed engineers and architects. At the same time, enforcement by some state institutions remain weak, with insufficient inspection and delayed responses to violation, including breaches of stop work orders. We therefore emphasize that building safety is a shared responsibility. Both developers and the regulatory authorities must fully discharge their obligations. Environmental factors. We wish to clarify the role of environmental conditions in the recent incidents. While heavy rainfall, rising groundwater level, and strong winds have coincided with several collapses, these factors are not the root causes. Rather, they act as triggering mechanisms that expose pre-existing structural weaknesses. In particular, elevated water tables during the rainy season adversely affect shallow or poorly designed foundations as observed at both the Adenta and Aveno sites.
The institution says it has reviewed several recent building collapse incidents. They have been sharing their findings.
Our investigations have identified serious deficiencies in foundation design and execution. At the Adenta site, exposed foundations suggest that required embedment depths were not achieved, raising concerns about compliance with fundamental geotechnical standards. At the Aveno site, we observed shallow foundations constructed in a high water table environment with significant fill material. The foundation system employed reinforcement and footing dimensions typical of minor perimeter structure rather than a multi-story commercial building. We must state unequivocally that such foundation systems are structurally inadequate to support the imposed loads. Samples have been collected and submitted for laboratory testing to verify compliance with relevant engineering specifications. Now let's look at regulatory non-compliance. We have observed a recurring and deeply troubling trend: construction activities commencing without statutory approvals. In several cases, projects proceeded without approved architectural drawings, structural designs, or valid building permits. In addition, we noted instances where official stop work orders issued by metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies were ignored.
They also raised concerns about regulatory compliance.
We are of the strong view that enforcement mechanisms must be significantly strengthened. This includes prosecutions, demolition orders in extreme cases, court injunctions, and closer coordination with law enforcement agencies to ensure compliance with regulatory directives. We also call on citizens to play an active role. Public vigilance is essential. Communities must report suspicious or unauthorized construction activities to the appropriate authorities.
Government has indicated its intention to proceed with one of its toughest measures yet to address Accra's perennial flooding problem, with more buildings situated on waterways expected to be demolished in the coming days. Returning from official visit to the UK and Belarus, President John Mahama did not mince words when he said the indiscipline of building in waterways and dumping refuse into drainage systems must come to an end. The president gave an indication that additional structures obstructing waterways will be pulled down as the Anti-Flood Task Force and NADMO and other relevant agencies prepare to submit a comprehensive assessment of buildings located within restricted waterways and flood-prone areas.
That you know is in a restricted area, which is a waterway, is not supposed to be sold. And so you should not sign the permit for them to build. But some of the houses have building permits. How did they get them? You know, so we have to do some soul searching. And I think government must be firm in doing what it has to do in order that we stop this perennial flood issue. We shouldn't be like the vulture who says he will repair his roof when the rain stops. When the rain stops, then we forget about it. The vulture forgets until the next rain comes, and he promises again to repair the roof. This time, if we repair the roof, we have to really work and repair it. Incidentally, this year too, the rains have been unusually heavy, and that is why we're seeing the extent of flooding that we're seeing. In other years, the rainfall is not as heavy. This one started in May and has continued all the way into June. And so I've directed a task force, NADMO and all the others, to do a presentation to us. We're going to identify all the restricted waterways. And when they have done that, I'm giving the directive that they should go ahead and do what they have to do. And I hope that when we do that, all Ghanaians would understand that it is government's business to protect the safety of all of us. We also need to
That was President John Mahama, and Joy News is learning that the presentation of the assessment report on buildings located in waterways is expected to be presented to the government soon. Earlier, in an interview with Maxwell Akbagba, the Greater Accra Regional Director of NADMO, Dennis Nate, disclosed plans for further demolitions of structures found to be obstructing waterways and drainage channels.
Why should people even go and build blocking waterways? If you are to follow strict building measures, of course you will not be allowed to put up a structure there. There are places that are not supposed to be titled, because before you even acquire a permit, first of all you must have a titled certificate before you proceed through there. Do we do that? You understand? So, I mean, the assemblies must enforce the bylaws. They have the power to do that. And going forward, this is how it's supposed to be. We must all hold the bull by the horn. Otherwise, we are building Ghana. We are developing. I know some of these things will happen, but we will get there. Nobody is giving up.
The pulse returns shortly after this break.
This Friday on Personality Profile, meet Professor Joseph Afari Dankwa, an Achimota old boy whose journey has taken him from Kotokroba to the halls of academia in the United States.
I recall myself just a few years ago with Afro. And I see you are laughing. There's hair still here, please.
Taught by Ghanaian intellectuals, including the late former president, Professor Atta Mills and Chachi Chikata. He has built a successful career as a professor and researcher.
The problem is not with our youth, but the problem is with me and
Professor Joseph Afari Dankwa this Friday on PM Personality Profile at 9 p.m. Don't miss it.
Let's get ready for our true or false session. You dance when nobody's watching.
I dance when people are watching.
Hello again. Timber traders in Techiman say doing business has become increasingly difficult as they describe as excessive checkpoints continue to slow the movement of wood products across parts of the country. The Techiman Timber Products and Retailers Association is accusing the chief executive of the Forestry Commission of presiding over what it calls an unofficial system of levies that is placing an additional burden on drivers and traders transporting timber from the Ashanti region to northern Ghana.
They chanted Muhammad at the polls, but now they say the president has turned a blind eye. A powerful timber union, the Techiman Timber Product Retailers Association, known as TETPRA, has turned their anger away from the opposition and directly toward the presidency.
Since the change of the government till now, which has to do with so many people mounting different kind of checkpoints on our roads day after day and weeks after weeks, is worrying and stopping us from doing our timber business to care for our families and children.
With the 2024 election victory still fresh, these members of TETPRA claim the reward for their support has been a spike in illegal roadblocks. They are accusing a top forestry official of creating a reign of terror on the highways.
Perhaps we say the CEO of the Ghana Forestry, Dr. Hugh C.A. Brown, is sabotaging the NDC government by leading this disturbing happening, which we are facing because he is not ready to listen to our cry.
Alhaji Muhammad Abdullahi, a TETPRA member and with over 20 years experience, says after bringing the NDC to power, the administration has succeeded in mounting new checkpoints affecting their operations.
Your Excellency, please, this is what we do to end our life. This is what we do to end our future. This is what we do to feed our family and even pay their school fees, our children's school fees. So please, Your Excellency, please, the First Lady, Lordina, please, Vice President, you are our mothers, so you have to look into this matter.
He adds that the new situation, if not checked, will force the people to take the law into their own hands.
The whole business was moving well. And where is this security from? So they want to collapse our business. You forget that you'll be coming here 2028 for another vote. After the 1 or 2 weeks, if we don't see any help or we don't hear from you, please. You know, a child, if he's hungry, he will go mad or even doing otherwise. So please, don't let us go that way.
Naziru Mohammed, a timber retailer here, says their customers are suffering, adding that the wood that was cheap in recent past is now expensive because of these bribes.
Yeah, it has to. It definitely will. But if you are paying more taxes or more this thing on the road, monies on the road, it will definitely affect the final consumer. If you buy a wood 70 cedis
road fare 20 cities or 18 cities, and you spend more than 10,000 on the road, it will have to be spread over. Definitely, it will affect the final consumer. That is why people are saying the wood here is now costly. For the past 3 or so years, wood was not up to 55 cities. Now you have to buy 90, 100. It's because of those issues.
The math is simple for the drivers. More checkpoints mean more bribes. More bribes mean higher transport costs, and those costs are passed down to carpenters, builders, and families trying to buy furniture or build homes. The association warns that patience is exhausted. They are calling on President John Dramani Mahama to intervene swiftly before the unexpected happens.
Yes, Ranu. Yes, Ranu. Yes, Ranu. One to the Nisha. Abandiaba, Yetiha. Abandiaba, Wako Yetiha. Yaya Jumanu. No one only ever buy any dear. Nyakasamito come to me. Yes, Ranu. Yes, Ranu.
For the thousands working here and the hundreds of drivers sitting idle in the northern belts, waiting for a resolution is a luxury they cannot afford. Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Tichiman.
The government has renewed calls for global restitution and reparations for the transatlantic slave trade. This follows the United Nations resolution affirming slave trade as a grievous crime against humanity. Speaking at the launch of Ghana's revised national cultural policy in Accra, Vice President Nana Akufo-Addo stressed the need to seek justice and confront painful legacies of slavery and colonialism. Nancy Kumsin has more.
Today, we are bold to say, as a people, we have written our story and we have decided to rewrite the story, for truly we make the rules.
To strengthen cultural identity and sovereignty, the government, together with the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, launched a revised national cultural policy. The policy seeks to protect, promote and preserve Ghana's heritage while nurturing the country's cultural and creative industries. It also builds on Ghana's moral and intellectual leadership at the United Nations following the adoption of a resolution affirming the transatlantic slave trade as a grievous crime against humanity. Speaking at the launch, Vice President Professor Nana Akufo-Addo called for reparations for the transatlantic slave trade, insisting that culture must also speak to justice and the painful legacy of slavery.
The resolution is a call for restitution and reparations, a reminder that culture is not only about celebration, but also about justice, dignity, and healing.
For a long time, Ghana's culture has been viewed primarily through a social and anthropological lens. The revised national cultural policy seeks to change that narrative by positioning culture as a key driver of the country's socio-economic development. Minister for Tourism, Ablaji Fagomashi, called for increased investment in the cultural sector, stressing its potential to create jobs, drive innovation, and contribute significantly to national development.
By harnessing the economic potential embedded in our culture and traditions, we can promote entrepreneurship, create sustainable employment opportunities, and empower our people, particularly the youth and women, while preserving the rich cultural heritage that defines us as a nation. I therefore call on businesses and investors to consider putting your money into culture. It's a smart move that can bring in profits and show your national pride. Think about supporting arts festivals, helping to fund museums, exhibits, and purchasing creative products made right here in Ghana. Invest in Ghana.
As the revised policy takes effect, the government is calling for renewed global cooperation on reparations and historical recognition, insisting that confronting the past is essential to shaping a more just and equitable future. Nancy Kumsin's report, read to you.
That's it for The Pulse. The news team returns at 7 p.m. with News Prime. My name is Kenneth. Jesse, have a good evening.